after such a heinous, senseless act of this boy taking the life of his son, of one of his twin sons. It's like this guy forgave your client. This guy basically said, it's okay, I forgive you before anyone else. And this commie dog decided, I'm going to show up here and I'm going to push this narrative, trying my hardest. This hood rat communist decided that I'm going to make this all about the movement rather than anything else.
Yeah, you're right.
I despise that, man. And what I hate the most is the fact that this guy, I don't know if y'all have his rap sheet. I know you. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. But this dude is a human CVS receipt.
Come on.
All 3 feet of it.
This dude is a human CVS receipt with his criminal record. And the fact that this man has the audacity to sit there with this railroad tie in his eye, talking about Mr. Metcalf's splint in his,
Right.
is disgusting beyond words. Every single measured argument that I had, like we're trying to be nice about it and everything, that's out the window.
Yeah.
That's out the window. I want to see this family. I want to see all of them get rung up.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your man Wise, and shout out to Isaiah Carter and shout out to Poppin' Politics for the clip opening this thing up, man. We got to talk about it, man. There's more to discuss in reference to Karmelo Anthony's situation. Rest in peace, young Austin Metcalf. This story, it gets more disturbing and more despicable, it seems like, by the day. And I got a couple clips to share with you guys because we got to see it. There's an interview with Roland Martin, and this guy, this Alexander guy. We're going to hear from Officer Tatum. There's another young lady that I want to share with you guys, and we're going to get into her video right off the rip. But let's check out the press conference real fast from this Derek Alexander guy.
And all I'm going to say, so it don't be asked later, is that was disrespectful and just shows you all the character who is not invited. He knows that it's inappropriate to be near this family, but he did it. And so I say to people, actions speak louder than words. Okay? What he has failed into is the political operatives that want to make this thing a political thing of hate, yet bigotry, and yet racism. We have conservative operatives that have been posting nonstop about this case.
This guy right here is a super race hustler. I got to share this next clip with you. Before I share this next clip, let's find out exactly who this particular individual is, because his track record is interesting, to say the least.
Claim of domestic violence. Steve Pickett joining us live from Irving with more on Dominique Alexander.
We know there is a police investigation right now, Doug. Dominique Alexander telling me by phone today he had a dispute with the mother of his children. He said he didn't hit or hurt anyone. However, for whatever reason, that woman ended up in the hospital's ER here.
That is a sense of betrayal to me.
Alinka Green stood with Dominique Alexander just 2 days ago, calling for the arrests of those who attacked and beat a transgender woman in South Oak Cliff. She received a call this morning, learning of a police investigation into alleged domestic abuse involving Alexander and the mother of his children.
From what I understood, it was very violent to the point to where she had to go to the hospital.
You can't claim to fight evil and then stand aside when someone that you're friends with commits such an injustice.
Activist Jeff Hood, the same man who led with Alexander the Dallas protest against police brutality on July 7th, 2016, when 5 police officers were shot, he said he saw injuries on the body of Alexander's girlfriend on yesterday. Took her to a DPD substation to file a family violence complaint.
Steve, it wasn't 2 weeks ago that we were out in the streets in Deep Ellum protesting, marching, screaming, shouting against violence against women. And here we are today seeing one of the chief leaders of that protest having committed a despicable act of violence against his partner.
That's who this Dominique Alexander guy is, a alleged domestic abuser. And this is the guy that the Anthony family has standing next to them. Now, he has a nonprofit. He has a nonprofit organization that is some type of, civil rights, organization. I'm telling you, this dude's a grifter and he is a hustler. And I've been saying this on this channel, this race hustling, the industry, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And this dude is using this particular situation to cash in. He gonna get some of that daggone Give, Send, Go, some of that GoFundMe money. You can count on it. Now, this young lady, she is going to give some solid detail and information. And I agree with what she's about to kick things off with, in the fact that they should not have done this press conference. It was in poor taste. They literally held a press conference like they're the victims. I mean, it's ridiculous to me.
And honestly, I don't think they should have done this press conference at all. I think it did them more harm than good. Here are the 6 major red flags that I heard. Number 1, they started off bad by kicking out Austin Metcalf's dad. Yeah, the dad to the kid who actually died showed up, and they found that to be inappropriate and had police actually escort him off the grounds. Now, I understand that maybe it's a little bit odd or weird that he would just show up and maybe you feel intimidated by that. However, he is the father of the victim who actually passed away. They went as far as to say that him showing up to the press conference was disrespectful to the dignity of Austin Metcalf.
The father being at this press conference is a disrespect to the dignity of his son.
What an insane statement to make. You guys are the ones who should be showing him some respect. I get that it's a tough situation for both sides, but at least your son is still alive. 2, the amount of name dropping that the spokesperson did for his company was egregious.
The Next Generation Action Network has been here.
He said Next Generation Action Network like 12 different times. I had to stop counting after a certain point. Are you here to plug your company or here to support the family? Pick one. 3, having the audacity.
Before she goes, I just want you guys to know, yes, it sounds very, very similar to the National Action Network, headed by none other than Reverend Al Sharpton. You guys know this. It sounds very similar. This is just the Next Generation National Action Network. I don't know if they are connected. I'm not really sure. I was trying to do some research, but I couldn't see or find if they were, connected in any way. If this is a spinoff, I'm not really sure. But again, like I said, this race hustle industry is huge. And there's a lot of people trying to cash in, and they need these types of situations. They need these types of stories.
Audacity to blame the school for the actual death. Yeah, he said that the school should be held accountable for not actually canceling the meet because of the rain.
I'm trying to find how many of y'all have asked the superintendent or one single board of trustee, why didn't you cancel or postpone? With weather in that magnitude, you couldn't have a track meet in rain or thunderstorm or clouds.
Apparently, he doesn't know that oftentimes athletes will perform in the rain. And guess what? 99.9% of the time, they're able to go home without having any stab wounds to the chest. Then they even had the audacity to try to complain about the school wanting to expel Karmelo for, killing someone.
But Frisco ISD has notified of their intent to expel Karmelo Anthony from school 1 month before his high school graduation. That just shows me that Frisco ISD the blame.
Like, what planet are you living on? You can't bring a weapon onto school grounds, pull it out, stab someone, and then just be expected to walk at your graduation next week. No, it doesn't work that way, buddy. Then we got to talk about the tone of the mom's message.
Well, the other thing too is that bringing the weapon on school property is right off the top an expellable offense. He didn't need to do anything else but get caught with the weapon. And that was enough for him to be expelled for the remainder of the year. Not a suspension, being expelled for the remainder of the year. And then you turn around and you commit, a violent act with said weapon. I mean, I don't know about you, but if my kids are going to that school, I don't want my kid going to school with that kid. No, not at all.
While we are being targeted and discriminated against before a fair trial, our son deserves the same rights under the law that everyone is afforded to. We believe in the Constitution. We believe in the laws of this state. But those laws must apply to all of us, not just some of us.
Now, I get it. She's distraught. Apparently, she's got all these death threats coming at her and her family, which is horrible, and those people are absolutely disgusting. However, Austin Metcalf's family also has death threats being thrown at them because a lot of people in America are garbage. But the fact that she went up to that podium and was pretty much yelling at everyone, was so angry, it just doesn't come across the right way. Austin Metcalf is dead. You don't get to act like you're the bigger victim in the situation. I'm sorry, but most of the public is not going to view it that way. And lastly, they are racializing the hell out of this case. There were so many racial undertones in the commentary that was being made.
Black people in America don't have to pull the race card. It's what we live as a reality every day. I ain't pulling no race card. I live it. I'm reminded all the time that I'm a black man in America.
I get it. Being black in America comes with its own set of challenges. I would never deny that. However, I don't see what race has to do with this situation. Even if Austin Metcalf said racial things towards Karmelo Anthony, it would still not excuse him pulling out a knife and stabbing him in the heart. So bringing up race in these matters and acting like that's why people have an issue with your son doing that is ridiculous, and it actually holds the black community back further because it makes it look like we're always complaining about ridiculous things when we should clearly be able to say that wrong is wrong. Karmelo Anthony deserves a fair trial. Absolutely. Do I still believe that his self-defense claim is a little bit ridiculous? Yes, I do. Do I reserve the right to say that I'm wrong if something crazy comes out in the trial and there's some piece of evidence that we didn't know about? Yeah, sure. But as of right now, I don't see what that would be. The fact that the family is even deciding to give this press conference and not just wait for the trial shows that they clearly care about public perception. So do you think that this press conference helped them with that, or did it just make things worse for them? Let me know in the comments section below.
I want you guys to answer that question for me. Do you think the press conference was a good idea? Do you think it helped, or do you think it hurt? I don't think it was a good idea. And I definitely think that the press conference is probably going to hurt the case. But then again, I'm also one of those people that I didn't think he had a case, honestly, in the first place. Not a self-defense case. Bring a knife on the school property. That's automatic. You've committed a crime. And then you get into it. But the thing that got me is that when you say, touch me and find it and see what happens, right there, any good judge. I've watched enough Law and Order, and I've watched enough court cases and things of that nature to see, hey, that sounds like premeditation. Because my question, if I'm the lawyer, what did you mean by that? What did you mean by if you touch me, see what happens, or I got something for you? What did you mean by that? Sounds like premeditation to me. This case has definitely gone nationwide, and it has a lot of people up in arms. And I want you guys to hear, this is my guy, Anton Daniels. He had a panel here, and they were discussing this. Unfortunately, this is the kind of stupidity, and I'm not calling Anton Daniels stupid, but there's a few people on this panel that you're just like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. But this is why you have a lot of folks, specifically, black people, up in their feelings, because I think a lot of it is they just don't know. And I don't say this to denigrate. I think a lot of it is just ignorance, just lack of knowledge, just don't know. But see it for yourself. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
Name a white person that killed a black person that is not or have not been held accountable in the last 5 years.
George Zimmerman.
George Zimmerman wasn't even white.
Just say one thing. I just want to answer your question. Who killed who or whatnot. Cal Rittenhouse was 17 years old, white boy that murdered two or three black kids in Michigan during a protest. He was acquitted on all charges. Jordan Penny, I think that's his name. He choked out that black homeless man on a train in New York recently, was also acquitted of charges. So and
no,
I guess
neither one of those was killed. Stop.
But he was pointing out like why there could be. I know you don't think it's true, but there could be like a sense of white power supremacy in this country, because sometimes when white people do certain crimes, they're not held to the same extent as black people or other people do. And so you were asking him to give names. I gave you two, and one was actually the same age as the the guy, the black boy that just killed the white guy, and he was acquitted of all his charges. He was also a 17-year-old white boy in Wisconsin.
Happens all the
It's like,
time.
and it's like, well, why was he acquitted when he actually murdered someone? You all are saying that,
Because they didn't murder anybody.
they did though. What
That's
do you mean?
No,
Kyle
they didn't.
Rittenhouse definitely murdered 2 or 3 people. Are you familiar with the story?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so you can't just make that statement then because you're
I
not
absolutely
sure.
can, because if the court of law determined that they was acquitted of the charges, then that means that he's not a murderer.
No, that means that the
Oh,
system
God.
worked in his favor based on who he was, because that wouldn't have worked.
You can't just automatically say somebody is when they not, when they got tried in the court of law.
Okay, and the
they
law
got
is always
acquitted.
fair, right? And the law is always fair, right?
Absolutely, it is in this situation.
I'm gonna tap out.
100%.
I'm done now.
Because if the evidence is showing that he's not guilty, then why would I say that he's not guilty?
Who are you speaking
It's
about?
innocent until proven guilty in the court of law.
This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about right here. The young sister up there don't know what she's talking about. Rittenhouse, there were no black people involved in that situation. None. The 3 people that attacked Kyle Rittenhouse, they were all white dudes. 2 of them had been to prison, if I'm not mistaken. The Penny situation up in New York, you had people that went to that trial and got on the stand and supported the young man doing what he did because they all thought that their lives were in danger. And these were black people, white people, Hispanics, a lot of different people got up there on the stand and stood up for him. There's also another case in New York that's going on right now, and he will be acquitted as well because it's a similar situation. The only difference is that the young man had a knife and he stabbed the individual that was attacking others on the train. But his case hadn't actually gotten to trial yet. But I would assume that based off of the Penny case, his case, he's going to be acquitted as well. I mean, come on, man. This is the problem right here, is that people do not know. They got a narrative from CNN or MSDNC or somebody else, or it's just they done heard a half-truth from somebody else and they've taken and run with it. Because this lady just mentioned 2 stories and she was wrong about both of them. But that's what's going on in America right now. And that's why you have so many people up in their feelings about this particular case here, because a lot of them, they just don't know. Let's check out what Brandon Tatum has to say about this.
Well, thank you for having me on. And it is very despicable what we've seen so far. And it just speaks to the underlying underbelly of racism that still exists in this country, perpetuated by black people, in my personal opinion. I made a statement on one of my videos to tell Metcalf's father, quit capitulating to these black people because they do not want to be your friend. A lot of them who are associated with this incident, that's giving money in the GoFundMe, who's representing the family, they secretly despise and hate white people and want revenge for what they believe is still a wrong way back in slavery. So it is turning south as the capitulation continues. But another thing that I find is going to be very problematic is that you have people that are pushing disinformation that makes it appear that this is a self-defense claim. And I do not think that this kid has a chance at self-defense, which is going to be horrible for him at the end of the day.
That does seem to be what the claim will be made when it gets to the court. But in the public opinion or in the public sphere, Brandon, you're right. We're already seeing comparisons made. In fact, Dominic Alexander did it yesterday at that press conference. He made comparisons to, for example, Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah, that has to be the most asinine thing that you can even try to express. Kyle Rittenhouse was attacked. He was chased down, cornered. A guy tried to take his weapon. He shot him. Another person tried to use a deadly weapon against him, which was a skateboard at the time. He ended up shooting him, and another person pulled a gun on him. And what else could he have done but protect himself lawfully in a place that he belonged? This is a very different situation. You have a young man who brought a knife to a track meet, which is already illegal, bringing a knife on the premise of a sporting event. And then you have the person, obviously, with the evidence that we have so far, is premeditating a stabbing because he has his hand in his bag and he's telling them, touch me and see what happens. You only need a split second to develop premeditation. So if you have a plan that you're going to use a weapon against somebody, before you use the weapon weapon, that's premeditation. And not utilizing equal force against a person is another uphill battle for him. Someone pushing you does not necessitate you to use deadly force against them. In no world is that legal, especially not in the state of Texas.
Officer Tatum said it all, man, and he would know. He was a police officer. He would know. But I said the same exact thing. And I personally went and looked at the Texas Penal Code. I went and looked at it. It's all out there. It's all public knowledge. And based off of what I read, again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a judge. I'm not a prosecutor, nor a defense attorney. I'm not. But I got common sense, and I can read, and I can comprehend. And based off of what I read, as per the self-defense statute in Texas, it did not sound or read like this young man has a case for self-defense. Just based off of the last thing that Officer Tatum said here. Someone pushing you doesn't give you the ability to take it a step further with a weapon, knife or gun. It doesn't give you that. It doesn't afford you, that ability. It just doesn't. But let's check out this last clip here. This is Roland Martin interviewing Derek Alexander. You guys got to see this for yourself. This is probably going to upset you a little bit.
Oh, you see him attacking the family and attacking activists because of what was stated. What does Kirk say? Insanity. Dominique Alexander, who represents Karmelo Anthony, just attacked Austin Metcalf's father, Jeff, for attending a press conference held by the Anthony family, calling his presence, quote, a disrespect to the dignity of his son, unquote. Kirk tweets, "This is revolting." I responded to Kirk. I said, I'm curious. If the Metcalf family held a news conference and Karmelo Anthony's dad showed up at that news conference, would you be saying the same thing? Joining us right now is the activist in Dallas, Dominique Alexander. Dominique, glad to have you back on Roland Martin Unfiltered. It's been some time. So, first of all, you have Charlie Kirk saying you represent the family. You're not a lawyer, correct?
Not at all. Not at all.
So explain for the public your role in this case.
So the Next Generation Action Network, of course, is founded here in Dallas, Texas, in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex since 2014. We are the advocacy arm. Our organization is an advocacy-led organization. We are not the attorneys. The attorney for this case is Mike Howard. We do the advocacy around making sure that people are aware of the situation and supporting and how to support this family and to ensure that this family's rights are not violated. And the things that are legal matters are handled by the lawyers.
So again, like I said, this is the Next Generation National Action Network. Again, I'm not for certain if there is a connection to Reverend Al Sharpton's National Action Network. I'm not sure. I got to do some digging, some additional, but I couldn't find anything that connected the two. But this is another, race hustle, grifting organization that thrives off of racial divisive incidents that happen. And they don't come in to cool things down or to make things better. No, they go in to stoke the fire. And, they're helping, these people get donations and raise money and this and that and third, and they're going to take a piece of it. You go look at the GoFundMe or the Give, Send, Go. It has it in there, letting it be known that everything ain't going to the defense attorney. Some of it is going to go to the quote unquote consultants, the Next Generation National Action Network. And as the young lady mentioned earlier in the video, he did make sure that he mentioned the Next Generation National Action Network. And here I am promoting it for him a lot of times. He want to make sure he name drops and get that name out there big time.
What's crazy here is, so check this out. Here's a tweet right here. This person said, I did a Twitter search for Karmelo Anthony till up to 2 days ago after the incident. I could only find one post from a black account defending him, but there are countless posts from whites making it a race issue. Whites racialize everything, then cry when black people take sides. And then this is a scroll of tweets that this person actually pulled. And when this story first happened, they called Karmelo Anthony a thug. It was all sorts of names. They were saying that Aaron Metcalf was this football star. He was this bright young man, talented, high grade point average, all of that. But Carmelo Anthony is not a thug. Carmelo Anthony is a high grade point average student as well. And so Anthony was being treated as a savage, and Metcalf was being treated as the golden, a perfect student, the golden child, if you will.
Yes. One of the things, Roland, that we need to point out in this situation is that most of the people raised their consciousness because of what Hunter Metcalf said in the local media, where he literally admitted over the weekend, days after, the same day, I believe it was the next day, where he stated that his brother was told by Carmelo to not touch him, and literally admitted that he did it anyway. And so no one did that interview for Hunter Metcalf. He did it himself. And so this hate, this race, this bigotry wasn't introduced by us, right? It was introduced by them, right? And I'm gonna say this, Roland. I don't know if you even remember this, because I was on the panel for the DPD police chief, and I believe I had this.
Yeah, this dude's a super race hustler. Super race hustler. And even with him saying that and saying what he said, and it very much may be true that Carmelo told him, "Don't touch me," and the young dude did it. And I'm not one advocating for, people to, disrespect people. You keep your hands to yourself. I've been saying this for a minute, but it still doesn't give you a touch, a push, doesn't give you the right, to stab. It just doesn't. We're going to let Isaiah Carter finish this thing, because what he says here, and shout out to the ladies over at Poppin' Politics, but what he says here sums it up, man. He's absolutely right.
Rung up. All of them. This dude is a hood rat communist.
Facts.
Okay. Hood rat communist. You can put that in the lexicon right now. Anybody who comes out and it says Daniel Pender, when he's referring to Daniel Penny, okay, no, that's a hood rat communist. Anybody who is still believing that in 2025 that Kyle Rittenhouse took the lives of black people when the 3 men that he shot in self-defense were all white.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them were abusive monsters, and one of them was a PDF file.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so honestly, Kyle, you Rittenhouse, sue this dude. Okay,
Absolutely.
sue him. Anyway, secondly, if that dude was really out there trying to dirty the jury pool, he didn't do a good job of it.
Mm-mm.
If anything, if anything, this guy really made helped the case against him and his client. If this dude is Carmelo with a K's lawyer, switch him out right now.
Yeah.
Switch him out right now, because again, and the last thing that I'm gonna say, the last thing that I'm gonna bring out. I hate that black folk have been reduced to this.
That part.
And listen, and here's what I mean. I hate that black people have been reduced by leftism to be this blob, this hyper emotional, this loyal, over emotional, unthinking, self-indulgent blob of the socio-political blob that needs to be shepherded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't stand that. And honestly, whenever you hear all of these different appeals, the weather is racist. Daniel Pender killed Jordan, a black Michael Jackson impersonator. Okay, giving Uncle Ruckus vibes this whole the whole way through.
Right.
I am tired of this whole thing where black folk are never allowed. People like this hold down the rest of us.
It does.
Okay. And if I may, I'm going to quote John Ridley from 2006, where he said, that which retards us is the worst of us.
Ooh.
Those who disdain actual ascendancy gained by way of intellectual expansion and physical toil, who instead value the posture of an urban, a street, a real existence, no matter that such a culture threatens to render them extinct. That man right there is the epitome of that paragraph. And I'm telling you, this is going to set back. If this sets back the civil rights era, what can we say?
Isaiah said it all, man. He did. I want to hear from you guys in the comment section, though. Like, share, subscribe, turn the notifications on so you never miss an upload. Consider joining the ARP family, or you can buy your man a coffee. Link in the description box below. Appreciate the support, the love. Keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. Peace.
Vibes so raw, can't hide the truth. Words so sharp.